All right, let's dive into the incredible story of how the U.S. Marshals pulled off one of the most audacious, most clever sting operations in history. So picture this. It's a hotel ballroom filled with some of D.C.'s most wanted criminals. They're drinking champagne, they're celebrating what they think is their lucky day, free tickets to a sold-out Redskins game. They're laughing, hugging cheerleaders, and not one of them has a clue that every single person serving them is an undercover U.S. Marshal. I mean, it's a wild question, right? These aren't people who just stumble into traps. These are men who have spent years looking over their shoulder. So to really understand how this happened, we need to rewind a few months and look at the pretty desperate situation the U.S. Marshals were facing. Back in 1985, the Marshals weren't just struggling. They were losing a war against fugitives on the streets of America, and morale had absolutely hit rock bottom. Yeah, look at that number. 250,000. That's how many wanted fugitives were at large nationwide, and that was creating an absolute crisis for law enforcement. In a city like D.C., that meant hundreds of dangerous criminals were just living openly, often armed and ready for a fight. You know, chasing fugitives one by one wasn't just ineffective, it was deadly. Kicking down doors could mean facing a shotgun. Experienced deputies were quitting, and funerals were becoming way too common. As one marshal put it, this wasn't law enforcement, it was attrition. They needed a totally radical new approach, something that broke all the rules. And the idea came from, of all places, a diner. So you've got this guy, Chief Deputy Toby watching the city's obsession with the undefeated Redskins. And he has this moment of pure genius. He realized they needed to stop chasing criminals and instead make the criminals come to them. And right there, on a simple napkin, he sketched out the impossible, a VIP party with free Redskins tickets. Now, Rowe's whole theory was based on this brilliant psychological insight. Yes, a fugitive lives in a state of constant paranoia. It's what keeps them alive. But they also have an ego. They have greed. And Rowe bet that the desire to feel special, to feel like a winner, could actually override their most basic survival instincts. And here's the crucial point. This wasn't about tricking stupid people. Not at all. It was about exploiting a universal human weakness that, let's be honest, exists in all of us. The promise of something for nothing can be an absolutely irresistible lure. So how do you turn a sketch on a napkin into a meticulous, foolproof plan? Well, this is where the real genius comes in. The operation was built around 4 simple but flawlessly executed steps. They would create a fake TV production company, mail out thousands of invitations to fugitives, host a party they couldn't possibly refuse, and then arrest everyone at once. But see, the Marshals weren't just offering a prize. They were offering an escape. For men living these lonely, paranoid lives, flinching at every siren, this was a chance to feel important, to be a VIP for a day. That was the real hook. This just shows you how confident the team was. They were hiding jokes and clues right there in plain sight. The fake company, FIST, was an acronym for their own unit. The signature on the letter was from a fictional executive named I Am Wanted. Get it? Even the hold music on the RSVP line was I Fought the Law. You can't make this stuff up. Every single element of the party was designed with a tactical purpose. The enthusiastic cheerleaders at the door, their big welcome hug was actually a pat-down for weapons. The goofy mascots dancing around, they were creating a visual distraction so the fugitives wouldn't notice the waiters positioning themselves near all the exits. So, on December 15th, the trap was set, and the guests began to arrive. And against all odds, the fugitives didn't just fall for it, they embraced it, completely unaware of what was coming. They mingled, they loaded their plates at the buffet, they toasted their good fortune. I mean, the calls had poured in, with men wanted for armed robbery and assault, asking about the dress code and the open bar. They were completely and totally sold. The atmosphere was so convincing that even the most dangerous criminals let their guard down completely. Think about that. One of the city's 10 most wanted men, a fugitive wanted for homicide, was just standing there, enjoying a pastry, talking about football. With over 100 fugitives inside, the doors were casually locked, and the MC, who was really an undercover deputy marshal in a top hat, stepped up to the microphone for the grand prize announcement. After a huge, dramatic buildup, the MC's cheerful game show host voice just turned cold and hard, and he delivered the 5 words that changed everything. And for a split second, there was absolute silence as the words just failed to register. And then, chaos. The party music cut out, and the room was instantly filled with a tactical team in full combat gear, weapons drawn. The waiters drew their own concealed pistols. The fugitives were surrounded, with absolutely nowhere to go. The entire takedown, from the announcement to the last pair of handcuffs clicking shut, was over in less than 4 minutes. Their bravado just evaporated against the wall of overwhelming force and total surprise. They didn't fight, they just surrendered. The results of Operation Flagship were as stunning as the plan itself. It wasn't just a success, it was a revolution in law enforcement tactics. The operation was a complete, flawless success. They achieved a mass arrest of 101 dangerous criminals. We're talking murderers and armed robbers with zero violence, no shots fired, no injuries. It was the safest, most effective mass arrest in American history. Ultimately, Operation Flagship proved that sometimes the most powerful tool for justice isn't brute force, but a deep, clever understanding of human psychology. It showed that the desire to feel like a winner can be a bigger vulnerability than any locked door.